finally had a moment to think. Had it been inevitable that it would end like this? Where had everything started to go wrong? Had it been at 8 minutes past 8 last night at the rehearsal dinner? Or had today's events been set in motion many years before? 1. One day before I do. Who will be walking the bride down the aisle? Reverend Daniels asked, looking between Audrey at the altar and her mother, Vivian, on the front pew. He seemed unsure who he should be deferring to on the matter. Josh reached out for Audrey's hand and gently squeezed it, a silent show of support. She will have 2 people walking her down the aisle, Reverend, Vivian announced, taking this as her cue to stand up and stage manage proceedings. Her 2 stepfathers, Brian and Lawrence. Brian and Lawrence were sitting at opposite ends of the front pew. They simultaneously raised a hand and then cautiously side-eyed each other. Vivian would have preferred her current husband, Lawrence, to be the one to escort the bride down the aisle. But Audrey had expressed a preference for Brian, who had played a prominent role in her life growing up. Audrey also wanted Vivian to know that the men she had dismissed from her life would not be so easily lost from her own. They'll take 1 arm each, Vivian told the Reverend, her eyes glancing back to Audrey. Well, that is a lovely idea, said Reverend Daniels, tapping his fingertips together nervously. But as you can see, the aisle at St. Nicholas's is rather on the narrow side. We've had problems in the past with, slightly larger family members being able to walk 2 abreast. I'm not sure we'd manage a 3-way. Josh let out a strangled-sounding cough, and Audrey pursed her lips to keep from laughing. Vivian paced the width of the aisle, wringing her hands as she realised that the Reverend was right. Though Vivian was petite, she walked with the confidence of someone used to commanding a stage and an audience. Her brown and caramel highlighted hair was pinned back into a bun and shone like a golden flame above her simple long-sleeved black dress. Her professionally plumped lips sported their trademark slash of red. Maybe a relay? Audrey could walk twice, Josh suggested, raising an eyebrow at Audrey. The note of sarcasm made her suspect he'd had a few pints at the usher's lunch earlier. Then she'd end up at the wrong end, Lawrence pointed out, his white, wispy eyebrows dancing in confusion. Josh, Audrey shot him a playful frown and shook her head. Luckily, Vivian hadn't heard him. Her focus was on the offending aisle, which was just sitting there, failing to be wide enough. I think the whole idea of being given away is preposterous, said Hilary, who sat with his feet up on the pew in front of him, reading a copy of Playbill magazine. Can't you just walk yourself down the aisle, Auds? No, she can't. That would look negligent, as though we have failed to come up with a respectable escort, Vivian shot back, her eyes darting disapprovingly to Hilary's shoes on the pew. I fear we'll have to move on from the entrance, Reverend Daniels suggested with a nervous laugh. I have another family coming in at 7:30 to discuss a christening. Reverend, we can't move on until we get this right. I do wish I had been forewarned about the inadequacy of the aisle, asserted Vivian. Audrey rubbed a fist against her chest, which had been feeling tight all day. This wedding was making her feel like a plate spinner, watching to see which plate was going to fall, then running to keep it turning. She wished her best friend Clara was here. Clara was good at keeping all the plates in the air. Maybe Brian could walk me the first half and Lawrence the second, Audrey suggested diplomatically. Vivian nodded, satisfied with this solution, and Hilary muttered in a sing-song voice, Crisis averted. Excellent plan. So we'll position Dad 2 on this pew here, said the Reverend, scurrying down the aisle to mark the row with a red hassock, and Dad 1 by the door. Audrey winced at his choice of language. She had always called her stepfathers by their first names, as she called her mother by hers. Vivian objected to the labels of Mum or Mummy on the grounds that they were ordinary and reductive. It's Brian and Lawrence, Brian said, gently correcting the Reverend.